Hi everyone, welcome to the stream. Hope everyone's got their water ready. Today we're doing the first chapter of our Jumpstart series. So today's session is going to be on creating and sharing, and we're going to go through the basics of how to use Yahaha and also talk a little bit about what the assignment is for this course and how you can submit it at the end. There will be links posted eventually when I find them, and I'm just as nervous as I seem at this point because as much as I have, charged my batteries for this, I'm still nervous, and that's a good thing. You're supposed to be a little bit nervous. But so, without further ado, let me get straight into what the assignment is. So I'm gonna open up on my computer real quick the website for the Jumpstart event. I'm almost gonna link it in chat so everyone can see. Right here, there we go. So the Jumpstart event starts today. We're gonna go through the basics. There's gonna be 2 more sessions where we go further and further into detail on how you can use the platform. And at each point in the series, I'm gonna ask you to make something. And then at the end, we're gonna try to have a finished product, a finished game, a finished space, whatever you wanna call it, that you can post and then submit as your assignment submission for the course. So the whole idea behind this is that when we're done with the 3 sessions, you're gonna be ready to just jump in and keep creating. And I'm not gonna tell you yet exactly what you should create. We'll get there. But just keep in mind that we're gonna be building on the same space. So if you want to create one now and follow along while I'm building, that's perfect. And then as we move on, you can keep adding to that space, and at the end we'll have a finished game. So I think that's all I wanted to talk about first. And yeah, let's just jump into it. I'm way too excited to just sit here and talk. I hope this works. I have a little stream deck on my phone, so I'm trying that out. That's also a nervousness factor, but I think it's working out absolutely fine. Let me know if something sounds weird or if it doesn't look quite right, and I'll try to get it fixed. And we'll go through it step by step. Like, I've got chat on one screen and I've got my own other stuff on this screen, so we'll get it sorted together. But I wanted to first just introduce the launcher and talk about how it works. As you can see here, I have a couple of spaces already because I like to create stuff. And this is hopefully what your spaces view is going to look like eventually as well. But when you first enter, you're not going to have all these pre-made spaces. These are the ones that I've created. You're just going to have this one button. And we're going to get to what that does when we are ready to go into the editor. But just keep that in mind, you're going to have just this one and not the other ones. I do want to check out the templates for a second though, because the templates are kind of the beginning of like an idea. If you have an idea but you're not really sure how to get started, you can grab a template that you like and kind of build on top of that. So today I think I'm going to go with the sci-fi space one because I don't really have a point to it. I just really like the template. So we're going to use the sci-fi space one today. Whatever one you want to use is up to you. There's really no difference in the spaces themselves except the skyboxes. But that's something that's going to be changing soon when we can, in a future update, edit our skyboxes and change the lighting and so on. So don't put too much thought into what template to use for the assignment. Just pick one that you like, because that's how I work in Yahaha anyway. Yep, so let's take a look at this little tab over here called Play. From here, you can play all of the levels that we have in the platform at the moment. There is unfortunately no search function right now, but that will be added at a future date. So at this time, just look around and use it if you're trying to find some inspiration. That would be my recommendation, because there are so many awesome levels here, and this is gonna keep filling up with cool levels. So if you find something that grabs your attention, hop in, try it out, see how you like it. And if you don't find it perfect, try to see if you can make something even better. That's how we're gonna make the platform move forward. We're also gonna take a look at this little tab here. This is a collection of tutorials and documentation, which you can use as a kind of stepping stone when you're first getting into it. The documentation I use every single day anyway, but the tutorials are a good start if you're really just jumping in and you need some quick access to try to figure out, oh, how can I change my movement? You got a tutorial right here. Or you can come back to these videos or this stream that's going to be eventually a video, and you can figure out that way. Or you can also ask in the Discord. There's plenty of ways to figure out. But this is kind of neat inside of the launcher. So this page contains a lot of text information, and we're not going to go through it at all, really. But there's instructions here for doing anything you really want. These are also available online, which I could link right now as well. Let me see here. Should have prepared this before, but that's okay. There we go. If you want to take a look at the documentation, you can go to developer.yahaha.com, or you can check it out through the launcher. And if you don't have the launcher yet, there's instructions on how to install it, how to create an account, all of that on the website. We're also gonna just check out, I really hope there's nothing bad here. No, there's nothing bad here. I wasn't quite sure, but it's absolutely fine. You can also check out your profile down here, and see what games you've published and edit your profile a little bit. I'm not going to do that right now because I've already done it. But you can add a little about section, and yeah, it's there. I think hopefully we're looking to have the character customization in the launcher as well. Maybe not, but that's all we have for now. But all right, do we have any questions about the launcher before I move on? Because we do have kind of a tight schedule to get through everything that is inside the first episode. Because if there are no questions, I will just move on. Doesn't seem like it. Well, if you have questions, just ask me at any point and we'll get through it. So I'm gonna create my first space now. Or, well, I obviously have many, but I'm gonna act like I'm creating my first space. So I'm gonna click the new space button, and then I'm gonna pick a template that I like. And also already told you that I like the sci-fi space one, so I'm gonna select that one and click create. And we're gonna jump over to a different scene in my little Steam Deck or Stream Deck. Let's see if this works. It is slightly broken. I have to go into OBS and fix that. It always works as you intend, right? Let's see if I can fix this. Let's do that and that. There we go. Now it's working as intended. My apologies. But yeah, so this is the studio. This is what it's going to look like when you jump into it for the first time. And the second time, and so on. But when you jump into it, you're going to see this. And you have a bar here at the top where you have some menu options that you can use. You will always have this floating dock up here. I'll move over so you can see it a little easier. You'll have this floating dock up here, which gives some context-aware clues to what you can do. You have the tabs on the side here, showing you the Explorer and the assets. We're going to go through what they do. You will also have some tabs showing up here. We will get to that too. And this little bar at the bottom shows you a bunch of tools that you can use at pretty much any time while you're creating. So the first one here is called the grab tool. And that one is super cool. Lets you just grab stuff, move it. Second one's called the move tool. And as you can see, they have a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Those are shortcut keys. We're going to get into how to find all the shortcut keys shortly. But yeah, so we have the move tool as well, which lets you move things up and down and side to side. Then we have the rotate tool, which lets you rotate on an axis or rotate on a skewed axis. This white line shows you the axis that is directly, how would you call it? It's in context with the camera. So if I'm looking from this angle, I would be rotating around the axis that my camera creates straight down here. So you'll have to play around with it because I'm kind of bad at explaining these things, but it's there to use. But yeah, so the rotate tool lets you rotate things. And then we have the scale tool, which lets you scale things up and down, different axes, in a plane. And I think you should just play around with this as well, because it will be way easier to understand if you play around with it yourself than if I'm just telling you exactly how they work. But I just want you to know that those are there. And then the final one is the transform tool, which lets you do all of them at once. So that's the tools that you use all the time when you're building Yahaha. We also have some other buttons here which change how the tools work. So for instance here, I have this fence. I'm going to select the move tool. As you can see here, the handle rotation is set to local. There's also one called global. And that changes the orientation of the tool. So if you have it for local, it's going to point in the same direction as the object itself is rotated. So if I click on this one, for example, you're going to see that it's not pointing the same direction. However, if I click global, it's going to be pointing the same direction no matter what object I select. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. If you're trying to do something on a larger scale, you might want to use the global. If you're doing it on some smaller scale, you might want to use local. It depends kind of on the context, but you should play around with it and see what works best for your situation. The second thing here is handle position, and the fence is actually a good example for this as well. As you can see, this blue box around it is called a bounding box, and it surrounds the object in front of you. So in this case, we have a handle position pivot, and pivot is something that kind of tells you like where is the origin of the object. This is like in computer terms, when you're creating a 3D model, you select some point to be the pivot. And we can decide not to use the pivot and use the center instead. And it will be in the exact center of the object. And the pivot is different for different objects. You're going to have to play around with this as well. Here the pivot is at the bottom and the center is in the center. Sometimes you want to use one of them, sometimes you want to use the other. These last things here, I'll zoom out a little bit so we can see. I'm going to explain how the camera works as well. Don't worry about that. We have a grid, and it's kind of hard to see, but if I try to maybe zoom out even more, it should be slightly visible. It's very pale, but the grid, oh, I don't even know if it shows up on stream, unfortunately. But the grid tells you a plane of the world, and there are settings associated with that as well. So for example, I could change the unit so the grid gets bigger or smaller, and again, I don't know how well this shows up on stream, but that's okay. And you can change what direction it's in. Play around with it and you'll understand how it works immediately. The last one here is called camera view. And that one's super useful for taking screenshots, for example. So if I press plus here, the studio is going to capture how my camera is pointed at this time. So I'm going to press plus here and just press enter to save camera 1. Now if I move my camera around, I can click there to just immediately go back to where I was. This is also good if you're trying to get an overview of how is this area constructed, how does it work, how big is it. You can put a couple of cameras in different positions and see like, oh, how does it look from this exact angle that I was at earlier. I'll add another one here so we can compare later. And I'll add a third one at floor level here, so we can take a look at it from this angle as well. And then whenever we want, we can just pop between them. Super useful for many different uses, so definitely take advantage of that. I also want to talk about this gizmo here in the corner. First of all, it's a really good compass for telling you where you're actually looking. So the Y direction is the top of the world, Z is usually forward, and is here as well, and then X is to the side. This is the exact same in these objects, so you have the green arrow representing up, the blue representing forward, and X to the side. And you can also click on these if you want a view from that side. That was a bad example. I'll move over here so it's a little bit easier to see. If I click the Z direction, you're gonna see that, yeah, I land on that side. You can also click on the cube if you want an isometric view. And that is sort of a weird thing with video games in general, I think, is that you can choose either to have a perspective camera that gives you depth, or you can have an isometric camera that flattens everything. So in this case, we have a flat representation of the same view as this. This is kind of useful when you're doing top view stuff specifically. So if I have a bunch of things that I want to place in the world, I can click isometric and I'll make sure that, oh, everything's going to be on the plane, it's not going to look funky. But again, play around with it and you'll see how you like it. Now I'm going to deselect this object by pressing escape, and we're going to talk a little bit about the camera. It is definitely the tool that you use the absolute most, and you will always have this little bar here, like I said, so you can see how it works. So the camera can zoom, it can rotate, it can also pan, which is by holding the mouse wheel, and then you can also move by using WASD. And whenever you want to select an object, you just click on it. So pay attention to this whenever I'm working with the studio, and you'll see all the shortcuts that I'm using. And then if we want more help with shortcuts, we can just go to this section here and find anything we want. So I'm going to show you again where it was. It's in the burger menu over here, and then you go to help and click on shortcuts, or you use the shortcut on the shortcut button. But here you can find anything that you need while you're using the studio. Any questions so far? I know it's a lot to get through, but this is just the first session of 3, so I think we're gonna get through it all. I'm gonna have a drink while I'm waiting for any questions to come up. Nothing right now. Cool. Then I'm gonna move on. All right. So a big thing is obviously to have objects in your world. And we started here with a very nice template, but it's still very, 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 very empty, right? So we can actually take a look at how many objects we have and what they're called if we click on the Explorer. And you can see here we have a plethora of objects in this template. Now, a thing that I like to do if I'm using one of these templates that has a lot of objects is to just click on this button, the first thing I do before I start building, and create an empty object. Now, this object doesn't really matter where it is, but I like to make sure that it's at position 0, 0. And you can access where it exactly is by clicking these floating buttons up here, clicking on transform, and then checking these values. Or you can click on more and you'll get this panel that stays there. So in this case, if I wanted to move it, I could either move it here in the world, you'll see that the numbers change, or I could actually just set it to a specific value like 10, or I can drag on these letters and change it that way. But I'm gonna leave it at 0, 0, 0, and leave it at that. This is gonna be the root object of my whole template. So I'm gonna call it _root. And then I'm gonna click on the floor tile, scroll all the way up. I'm gonna hold shift and then click on the top floor tile. And you're gonna see that it selects all of the things in the template, except for the respawn point. And I'll have a reason for that as well. And I'm gonna drag that and let go over the root when it gets that blue outline. And it's all gonna end up inside of the _root object. This is what we call a hierarchy. So if you come from Unity, Unreal, something like that, you're gonna be familiar with this concept. If you don't, you can think about it as if it's folders. And we call these ones that are more to the left, they're parents, and the ones that are indented are children. So you can see that some of them have even further hierarchies, more subfolders. There's plenty of ways to get confused with this, but pay attention to that at any time. If you want things to come with each other, which I can actually demo, you can put them as children and they will follow whatever you do to the parent. We'll get to how that works in a second when we create some stuff. So that's about it for the Explorer. You can also search it, but I think that a search box is something that most people understand as well. So clicking on this little tab here called My Assets is going to show you all your assets. And there's two sections of this. You have built-in and purchased. So we're going to start with the built-in ones because these are the ones that everyone has. You have a couple of basic objects here that you can just select and then use for whatever you want. You also have some objects that are a little bit more complex, and we're going to get into more what those do in the second session, the second chapter of this. But these have components. And if you don't know what that is, that's fine. We'll get to it. But these come with them already attached. So these gray ones don't have them attached and the orange ones do. And then you have the teleporter and the respawn point that look a little different, but they have the same kind of idea. They have a component associated with them. The same thing with these things at the top as well. They also have components associated with them. So my favorite tab then is the purchase tab. And as you can see, I already have a bunch of assets, but I don't know if really any of these kind of fit the sci-fi vibe that I'm going for. So I'm actually just going to jump into the asset library immediately and try to find something that I think works in this cool world. And actually, I feel like this motorbike kind of fits the world really well, but I'm going to click on the creator to just check out what else they have. Ooh, yes, this is a bunch of sci-fi stuff. I think I want something that flies. Yes, here we go. This is beautiful. So if you like an asset, you can either click here to add it to your assets, or you can go back to the overview, and it's gone, unfortunately. Where'd it go? I think I got a different view. Oh, did it disappear on me? Here it is. You could have clicked here as well. So there's a little plus button here too. You can quickly add assets. And we might as well do that because there's probably something else that I want from here. Yes, I'll take this little satellite. There. Now I've added two objects two assets to my purchased assets. And we're going to check them out and see if we can put them in a cool place and make this a cool level. So by clicking on them, you download them from the cloud. And then if you either click, you're going to spawn it in the world, or you can also click and drag and put it wherever you want it. Now, I'm not really sure where I wanted this one, but I'm going to move the camera up here and then place it on top of this little pad here. Yeah, I think it looks cool there. This little satellite though, I think I'm gonna use the grab tool and just drag it over to this box over here. I think it looks cool. So yeah, it's as simple as that, to find an asset and then put it inside of your world. Now I'm gonna hide this for a second, go back to the Explorer view, just so I can keep track of what I'm doing. And this little satellite, I actually want to rotate it. So I'm gonna click 3 so I get the rotate tool. And then I'm gonna hold shift and drag on this, what is it, green? Yeah, the green circle, to rotate it at specific angles. I think I have mine set to 15 degrees. So it's gonna lock at each, or snap at each 15-degree increment. I think I like it about here. Here is good. Yeah, I think that's cool. So if we wanna go in and play and see how it looks, we can just click this play button in the top right, and we will spawn as our character. There we go, that's me. Looking quite dapper, if I do say so myself. And I can run over here and see my new satellite that I put here. Now, I'm actually very curious if I can... Nope. That thing didn't seem to have any collision. Well, that's absolutely fine, because we need to get into what a collider is, how that works anyway. Oof. Do I do this? No. Well, that's unfortunate. But we can fix this. So I'm gonna exit play mode. And then I'm gonna go over here and click on this. Now, something seems odd about this box collider. Doesn't quite seem to work. So I'm gonna delete that one. And then I'm gonna add a new one. And we'll see if that works better. So a box collider is something that is shaped like a box, and then the player can collide with, and I think some other objects also can collide with. So if I wanted to change the size of this, I could actually just scale it on an axis, or I could click in the area of the box and I could move these sliders to change it by hand. I think something spooky with this object. It's because the scale is negative, so the box collider got a little confused. But this is okay, we fixed this. Here we go, and we can play it again and see if that works better. Let's see here. And if this doesn't work, that's fine. That's what live demos are for. Sometimes they don't work as you intend. But we have a way to tell the developers that, hey, this doesn't work as we thought it would. So if we exit play mode, we can click on this burger menu here, go to help, and click feedback. Feedback is something that we love at Yahaha. We love to get feedback about how the tool works, what you need, and where it's completely broken. So in this case, I can write here that objects with negative scale don't collide properly. And there we go. And if this isn't true, that's fine. Just write it as you see how it happened. There's a lot of other stuff that gets sent with the feedback submission form. So if we can't figure out how it works, there's this little button here where we can contact you about this feedback. I obviously work at Yahaha, so I'm gonna have that selected every time. If you don't want to, you can deselect that, but if you want to, and if it's a big problem, then you can click that thing. You can also attach some files if you want to send screenshots. It's a very good tool to let us know when something's wrong or you need something. So I'm gonna submit that, and it's gonna take a second, and then I'm gonna save my scene afterwards, because I forget to do that all the time. So this is me telling you, remember to Control S to save your scene as often as you can. But all right, that was a little bit of a bust, but that's okay. We can figure this out anyway. Right, the airplane up there, or the helicopter, is a bit far away, but I would love to see how that looks if I'm playing. But I don't really want to build a stair set and then walk all the way up there now that I'm just creating the level. So I'm gonna sit over here with the camera and click this little button next to the play button and select play here. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna spawn me where the camera is. So I'm gonna click play here, and we're gonna land right next to the helicopter. And I have to say, it does look really, really cool. So yeah, I like this asset. I'm gonna keep using that for other stuff as well. Nice. And we can check how it feels to jump down from that as well. Cool. I think there's a lot we can do with this template. Hide some secrets. Yeah, I like this. Nice. All right. And there are tons of stuff that we're gonna get through later, and I'm gonna tease some in a little bit, but I want to check if there's anything that I haven't told you yet that I should definitely tell you about before I move on to teasing stuff. Right. Okay, so when you're creating a level, you might not be super happy with this flat stuff over here. Now this isn't actually a plane. A plane is something that is just a square, and it doesn't have like something underneath. I can actually show you from the built-in assets what a plane is. Here we go. Take that and then drag it in. We can press F to focus on it and lift it up from the ground. You can see it's just a thin little plane. Very nice. But this plane here is a little bit special. I'm going to show you why. We're going to go into the terrain tool. Now, the terrain tool I'm not very good at using because I'm not an environment artist, but I can show you kind of how it works. So this thing that's floating around is your brush. And this plane here is your canvas. So if I just, as the thing here tells me, the little panel here tells me, if I click, I'm going to start raising the ground. I don't know about that. That's a little bit weak. So I'm going to Control Z to remove that, and I'm going to add some strength to it and really create some massive mountains here. Yeah, there we go. And you can play around with this as much or as little as you want. I usually try not to play with it because I'm not good at it, but I've seen people build really cool stuff. So I think if you just let your creativity and imagination run wild, you can build some really cool terrain for your levels. But I'm just going to build some mountains around my little base here to make it look a little bit more interesting. But obviously not as interesting as some other people can do it. I also don't know if I really like the gray color here inside of the little area that I've built. So I'm going to select at the paint tool over here. I'm going to select a different texture. So this little button down here, I'll actually show you on the raise lower tool as well. You have a bunch of different brushes for the raise lower tool. And you also have textures for the paint tools. Let's see here if I can find something nice. I would imagine that this area would be a little bit brown, a little bit rocky. Let's see here. Oh yeah, that's nice. So I'm going to use that and just try to spread it out a little bit. But this area is a little bit too big, so I'm going to actually up the size so I don't have to sit here all day and paint terrain. Nice, 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 nice. Give it a little bit more visual fidelity. And wow, that is a very straight line here. So I'm going to lower the size again a little bit. Like that. And I'm going to lower the opacity as well. So I'll lower it to like 30%. And we're going to see that we can make kind of a little transition to the mountains. Now, I'm obviously not perfect at doing this, but it's definitely a useful tool to make the world look a little bit more natural. Little bit being extremely little bit when I use it, but I think you get the gist of how it works. So, as you can see here, the opacity being lower makes the two materials kind of blend with each other. So I think I'm getting happy with this. We're gonna paint a little bit more transition over here. Try to make it seem like I actually know what I'm doing with this tool, even though I absolutely don't. Here we go, here we go. There, I think I'm happy with that. Now, this could actually be really cool as a like floating base. So I'm gonna go back to the scene tool and just select my root and lift it up just a little bit. I think everything should have followed with, except for, of course, my helicopter and antenna. So I'm gonna put those back on the ground again by doing Control Z, and then I'm gonna hold Shift and select these two as well. And then there's also the respawn point that I forgot to select. There we go. Now we have everything selected. I'm gonna move it all just a little bit off the ground. And then I'm gonna add some water. Heck yeah, we're gonna have water. So our little floating island here is gonna get a little edge of water to it. So to do that, I'm just gonna select the sea level button here and click on, and uh-oh, everything has been absolutely drowned. But I'm gonna raise it just slightly, so we get this cool little floating effect for the level. Now this is starting to look like something absolutely awesome, at least in my opinion. I don't think I like the foam a lot, so I'm gonna lower that a little bit. I'm also gonna lower the reflection just slightly, maybe to here. Yeah, I think I like this. That is a very cool effect. Let's see how that looks in play mode. Nice. Ooh, looks way better already. Fantastic. All right, awesome. But I think it would be cooler if I had some sort of flying helicopter, because it's kind of hard to see from down here. So it would be cool if it just, you know, moved around a little bit. So now I'm gonna get into the teasing part and show a little bit of what we're gonna go through in the second episode. But I think I'm allowed to tease. This is my course, so I get to do what I want. So we're gonna go to the gameplay tab over here. I just clicked on the helicopter and clicked on the gameplay tab, and we're gonna add a component to it. Now, there are simpler gameplay components and there are more complex gameplay components. We'll get through all of those in a later session, but I'm gonna do a little special thing here and just show you what it can do. So in this case, I am going to add a character, and I'm also going to add a behavior. Now, if you don't understand what I'm doing right now, that's absolutely fine. You will in a later episode, but I just want to show you what you can do now, so we can get into that later. Now, interval, that's kind of low, so I'm gonna lower that to 3, and I want that to be faster. There we go. I'm also gonna move this up a little bit so it can really go around. I hope that works at least. If this breaks everything, that's fine. I can probably fix it somehow. Let's see here. Oh no, it did not like that. I think I know what's wrong though. So I'm gonna fix this. Don't worry about it. This is part of the process when you're creating levels, is that you have an idea, something cool that you want to do, and then sometimes it doesn't quite work out as you intended. But if you will just give me a second, I will figure this out and we will see something hopefully awesome. Leave that called empty, that's fine. And then add the behavior again. Probably not add the same numbers, that's absolutely fine. There we go. Let's see if this works better. And if it doesn't, that's fine. We'll get to it in a later episode. But I should see that it kind of hovers around and then goes to a different place. Opa. Okay. Hello, sir. You're hanging around here? Nice. So, if you think that looks cool, wait until we get to the later episodes. You'll see that we can make some really awesome stuff. But yeah, I think in general, that's all I wanted to go through in this episode. However, I want to leave it open for any questions or any thoughts that you might have had during this live stream. So, if you do have any questions, please leave them in the chat, and I'm going to take a little short break just to go get some more water, and I'll come back in a second to take care of that. Yes, let's do that. I think that feels like a good idea. So I'll be back in just a minute or so. But if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in chat, and I'll go through them one by one when I get back. Cool. I'm gonna put on some music as well, so it's not dead quiet in here. I hope this is audible on stream. I'm absolutely not sure. Yes, it is. Perfect. All right. See you in a second. to Daisy. Now the mic is on again. My apologies. Still getting used to this app. I think I need to play around with it a little bit more. Let's see here if we have any questions. What does the cool stuff look like on Yahaha? I want to see more cool creations. Well, my first recommendation is to just go and play them. If we actually switch over to the launcher, we can check out how that looks. You can play all the games that you want to play just by opening the launcher and playing anything, or you can play on the Android app. And I also know for a fact that in the Twitch video on demand backlog, there is actually a stream where some of my friends at work, my colleagues, went through and played some games from an event that we ran. And I think that video really shows off some really cool creations. So if you don't have anything else to do after this stream is over, I would recommend go check out that video. If I have someone with me in chat, they could link it, or I'll just link it afterwards when the stream closes. There we go. That's perfect. Thank you so much. So yeah, check out that stream for just some really cool levels, and yeah, I think that's a good start for that. I unfortunately won't be playing any of them right now because I don't have it set up, but I'll see if I can set something up for a later session. Vfro, hi, thank you so much appreciated. There's one thing more I want to show that I forgot about before, so we're gonna go back to the launcher. Here we go. I have to do that on my phone. There we go. So back into the launcher we go, because now that I've created this cool space, I might actually want people to be able to play it, right? So I just made sure that I could save it. This is how you get people to play your games. And so if you're gonna play some games after this stream, you can actually go check out my level, which I fixed up a little bit. So in your spaces, you can just click on the space that you want to publish and then click on the publish button. But I'm a little bit cautious, so I always go up here and edit the name using this pen button here. And I'm gonna call it Jumpstart space float base. There we go. So now I have a good name for it, and I'll add a screenshot later using the camera feature that we were talking about. But for now, I think this is okay. I'll add the description later as well. But save that, and then I can just click here on publish. I'm gonna get the same thing again, but again, I'm just a little cautious. I always click on the edit button, but I think everything looks good here. So I'm gonna click on publish. And now I actually get a little link to this level that I can share with you in chat. So if you want to go play the level immediately, there you go. Now you can go play my level. This is what's so cool about the platform itself. It's not just a game engine. You can actually kind of have a social engagement around it. So if I've created a level and I want people to try it out and see what they think is good, what they think could get some improvement, I can just share it with them and they can give me feedback and I can fix the things that weren't so good, and then we can sort of build the level together, even though I'm sitting here in my house building my stuff and they're on some completely different location. We can still have that interaction. So if you do have any feedback, please send me some feedback. I'll post the link in Discord as well. So if you're in the Discord, you can like reply to that little link and we can have a conversation about it if you have some feedback. And we can do that continually over time. And if you want some feedback at a later date, post it in Showcase and people can give you feedback. It's a really cool experience. So have I missed anything? I don't know if I've missed anything. Right. So when it comes to the submission of the oh, what's the word? I have to check the website. Sorry. Just 1 second. I have to find the right word. The submission of the assignment was the word that I was looking for. When you submit the assignment, the link is what you're going to submit, or at least the ID, which is what you find here. You can just copy that, or you can copy the link. Both go to the same space, so that's absolutely fine. The space that I've created, and I'll go back to that view now so we can look at it again from a different angle. It's obviously not done. I think anyone could tell me that it's obviously not done. And this camera view is completely broken, so I'm going to delete that. But it's not done, so I think there's a lot of improvements we can do to it. This is sort of what the assignment is for. So this is episode 1 where we created a little space base. And I was a little cheeky and added stuff for the next episode, but what I did here with the helicopter, with its components and everything, which are actually here, that's the next episode. So if you're following along with the course, the way I've imagined it is that you start maybe tomorrow or some other day in the coming week, and you start building one of these levels. Play with the terrain tool, play with all the objects in the assets that you already have, find some new assets in the asset library, and build something that you think is nice, or you think have some potential for a game, a space, something that you could be proud of at the end. And start there, just build something really neat. Then in the second episode, we're going to add some gameplay, we're going to play with some components, we're going to see how we can make it a little bit more interactive and dynamic, exactly as I did with the helicopter here. We'll go into play mode, just see if it actually does something cool, or if I completely broke it, which I probably did. Yep, it's absolutely gone. It disappeared somewhere, but we want to have some sort of like interaction. So that's going to be episode 2, and if you're following along, you can also add some interaction there. And then in the third episode, which is the last one before you can submit your assignment, we're going to go through how to really, really juice up the gameplay. We're going to create buttons, we're going to create cool moving things that interact with other things, and yeah, we're going to have a good time, we're going to create something really awesome. So that's sort of the idea for the course. So if you're just getting started with Yahaha, start here, come back next week for the next episode, which is on the, let's see here, the 7th of July on a Thursday. And it's going to be the same time as today, so 8 p.m. CEST, which is the time where I am, coincidentally. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you have any questions about what we went through, please come to the Discord or the forum and ask questions. That's how you learn. So I'm super happy to just give some feedback on that. And we're also going to obviously post this as a video, so you can go back and put a comment there if you have something specific about the video. And yeah, let's do this together. Let's try to figure out how Yahaha works, and I'll be your guide through it. I don't even know if I introduced myself super well, but I'll do it again. So hello everyone, I'm Kim, and I'm signing off today's chapter of the course, today's chapter on creating and sharing. And I'll see you in the next chapter, and I hope to see you in Discord and on the forum and everything like that. And I'm super excited to see what you're gonna build. So take care, and until next time, good luck and have fun. Bye bye everyone.